I like your, no tie, it's okay.
I don't see the TV light.
All right, good evening, everyone. If we could just please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so good evening, everyone. This is the Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting on Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. The notice requirements of the law have been satisfied. Notices have been sent by certified mail to the Home News Tribune. Receipts are on file in the Township Clerk's office. We ask that anyone that has a cell phone to please turn it off during the meeting. All variances granted tonight will expire if the building permit, zoning permit, or occupancy permit is not applied for within 1 year of the granting of the variance. No new applications will begin after 10 p.m., and the meeting is going to adjourn at 11 p.m. Any application may be discussed at the next agenda meeting. Kristen, can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Almeida,
Here.
Mr. Goldenfarb, Mr. Paul Castro,
Here.
Mr. Scaturo,
Here.
Ms. Millette,
Here.
Mr. Bacladata,
Here.
Ms. Musley,
Here.
Mr. Wright,
Here.
Mr. Hyman.
Here. First off on the agenda, we have two memorializations. I think we're going to table those until December 16th. Is that right, Kristen?
Yeah.
Yep, the 16th. We don't have a meeting in November, so I think that's all we need to do is just table it and know that we'll
adopt them at that next.
We'll adopt them at the next meeting. All right, second is we have a request for an extension of time. So this is Sai Parawar Incorporated. This is at 2355, 2353, and 2351 Route 130. Mr. Stahl is the lawyer on record, and this is regarding Block 148, lots 108, 19, and 110. It's a request for extension of time for both use variance, bulk variance, and preliminary and final major site plan to construct a 13,980 square foot house of worship. We approved this, the zoning board, on September 17th, 2019, and a resolution of approval was adopted on December 3rd, 2019. Good evening.
Good evening. Jim Stahl, STAHL for the applicant. I'll be very brief because it was a subject of an extension, I think, through 2024, based upon COVID. And I'm here to just get it through June of 2026. Now, the board is going to ask the question, and I just have to advise that without any, I'm not looking for an applause. I normally don't get it from someone else. I represent a lot of religious organizations. You name it, I represent it, and gladly so. But the one issue we always have with religious organizations is fundraising, building committees, resolution compliance. That's always the problem. I don't have the same with regular profit individuals. So what we are, Sal and I had some issues, not issues, I had to ask him for certain modifications with regard to interior. There were some other things they had to do. They were in the middle of fundraising. I told them that we've got to finish it. We've got to get it done and put a shovel in the ground by next year. And they're ready to do it. I'm at risk of losing my shoes. This has to be the last extension if you're so gracious in granting it. And I think there are reasons for it, as I've said. Religious organizations they started, they spend a lot of money, and then they just have to go fundraising. And they don't want to put up a partial building, nor do we want that in North Brunswick. So that's my request.
Do we know how long, when you say put a shovel in the ground, do they have any idea now of when that's going to be? Do they have a projected time when they would start if we did extend it?
I don't know that, I want to be honest with you, I don't want to throw out a date, but we've got to start before June 26th, which is less than a year.
Right.
Don't forget, we have winter, as you know and I know. Now we've got the winter season, even though it's not cold. Then we've got the soil freeze, so we probably won't put a shovel in the ground until spring. But that's good. We can get, we do the fundraising over the winter and begin sometime in the spring. Because I'm not waiting until June 21st
Right.
to start.
Right, exactly.
And the one thing that always bothered me, I hope none of you are involved in it, I used to talk to Mike Ritz, is coming down Route 130, and that catering place that's now open with the A on it. I used to say to Mike, how long is it going to take to build that? And Mike would remind me, all you've got to do is every year, put the shovel in the ground, make a little change, and you go on for 20 years. We don't want that.
Right.
We put this church up, we want it up.
Right.
Right. Mr. Stoll, let me ask you a question. Are there any outside agency approvals that you still have to deal with? So the DOT issues are resolved?
Yes.
Freehold soil?
Yes.
Middlesex County? Okay, so it's really just putting a shovel in the ground, and technically, you could put it in, as long as you get your construction plans in, your building permit in, and you put a shovel into the ground, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I know that we have one administrative issue, Sal has been very good about it, was the basement area, that's dirt, we wanted to just put a slab on it, that, for storage, not for use, for a couple of minor things.
All right.
To make young Mr. Profaci happy, remember the young Sal.
Sal, you're okay? All right.
It's all good? Yeah?
I think they've been through resolution compliance, the second review is already done.
All right.
too, so
Right.
pretty close.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Board, I mean, obviously, this would be the last extension that he's entitled to anyway.
Right.
Under the statute. He could go to court, but I don't think he wants to do that. But I think certainly the Board could act within its rights to give him one last extension.
Do we need to open it up to the public or not?
Yeah, we'll open up to the public,
Okay.
but
All right.
I think certainly it's in order.
All right, so before should we have conversation now, or should we open it up to the public?
Open up to the
first?
public and see.
All right, so if anybody is here for this application, if you want to step up, don't everybody rush up at one time. All right, so I have a motion to close the public portion.
I'll make a motion to close.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Board, so we've now had one extension already, or two extensions? Two extensions, so this will be the last one. We've talked about this, I mean, we have an idea of what Mr. Stahl has spoken about. So, I mean, somebody would like to make a motion to extend it or deny it? I would just need some sort of motion on the table.
Make a motion to grant the extension.
Mr. Chairman, the date we're looking for, just so there's no misunderstanding, is for June 3,
Right,
Right.
2026.
right. All right, so you got a motion from Mr. Scutoro. Do we have a second?
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay,
Thank you. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Paul Castro?
Yes.
Mr. Scuturo?
Yes.
Ms. Millet?
Yes.
Mr. Bacladada?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Hyman?
Yes. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you all, have a good evening.
All right, so we have a carried application, Yvette Ford, 1281 Masoma Road. This is regarding Block 47, Lot 22. We have a bulk variance to install a 6-foot privacy fence in the front yard area of Axel Avenue. It's an R3 single-family residential zone district. Ms. Ford? Good evening, how are you? If you could just raise your right hand, we'll have you sworn in.
Yeah, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, please state your name, spelling your last name, and address for the record.
Yvette Ford, Y-V-E-T-T-E-F-O-R-D,
All right, speak a little louder into the microphone.
Is the microphone working? Is
Is it on?
it red? It didn't sound like it was. No, it didn't. Is that on? Here she comes. We're good?
Okay. All right, Ms. Ford, I guess tell us what you would like this board to approve.
So we would like to have the 6-foot fence installed. Currently, the allowed is 4 feet. The reason for our request, we have a small child, he's 2 years old, another child that's 9, and with the bear incidents on Carlisle Road, we've had some concerns, and we were just afraid to let the children play outside. In addition, we've observed that there are neighboring homes that do contain a 6-foot fence. On those properties, there are no stop signs. We believe that on our property, there is, on the corner of Axel and Masoma Road, there is a stop sign, and we would request to have the same 6-foot install for our property. In addition, my husband may have some things to say, if that's...
I am going to have to swear you in then, sir.
Yeah,
Please-
for sure.
Please raise your right hand.
Yes.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole
Excuse me,
truth,
sir.
nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, please state your name, spelling your last name and address for the record.
Jovan Ford, Jovanford.
Okay.
Same address.
Same address, okay.
Thank you.
She hit on the points that I thought were dear to our heart. I think the presentation of our home would look better if it weren't for the decrepit, crumbling look that we have with, that we inherited is probably a better way to say it. Not only the aesthetics, if you will, would be better for our community and our home, but it would tie into the idea that our community as a whole is placing a lot of money into their homes and into their structure. Why shouldn't we? I think that would help onlookers to see that we all do care and have dedication towards what we merit as our neighborhood. That's one. In terms of the adequate safety of our neighborhood, yes, we're on a corner, but we have really good lot space. In terms of the distance from our fence to the start of our property line, and even from our fence to the intersection. I don't think adding 2 feet in height would change that merit at all. And additionally, the motorists that pass by, they have enough time and space just with the cross walk and stop sign that my wife was speaking on. The kids, I have a 9-year-old, a 2-year-old. My 9-year-old loves having his friends come over. They spend a lot of time having to retrieve a ball or item to go back around the fence that's open and short. My 2-year-old loves to follow and be devious enough to throw his brother's toys on the other side, climb the broken wooden fractured fence. So we have those kind of things going on. We have called numerous times animal control. We have open fencing and broken fencing. So on the skunks, on the opossums, believe it or not, the groundhogs. I have not called animal control on one of my neighbors who do have a outside cat, but the outside cat have free range, and there's no challenge for that cat to come onto our property, or stopping to come onto our property. So those are the things. My wife did bring up the bear sighting. That got a little spooky for a few years. And also, we have a quirky backyard. It's like rectangular in shape. So essentially, our side yard becomes our backyard. And if you were to look at our fence, while we have family members over, friends over, et cetera, we're constantly turning and breaking the memories we're trying to create because there's no privacy that our neighbors also have. So that's a part of the concerns.
Mr. Ford, let me just summarize then. So
Sure.
you're looking to put a 6-foot-high fence, it would be a solid fence. What kind of, would it be white PVC? What,
Yeah, it would be vinyl. That would be the idea. First of all, it looks better. That was my first idea. It just
and
looks
you're-
better.
You're going to put it in the same location as their existing?
Yeah, I don't want to move it.
Okay.
I don't want to add to that portion in terms of, if we're thinking of public safety, or if I'm thinking of public safety, I don't want to create any barriers between what someone can see going around the corner, whether a motorist, a dog walker, et cetera. I'll keep it right where it is.
So I do have a question. There's a tree. I passed your property, and I could see in the picture that you submitted, the tree will still be outside of the fence, correct? Or are you going to put the fence, are you going to put the tree within the fence?
That's something I have been thinking about for now, because we were so, pardon the term, gun-ho on just wanting an adequate fence. Having the tree where it is fine for now.
Okay.
There were some ideas and talks between us about putting it around that fence, and where that fence is versus where the tree is. If we were to extend it, it would be but a foot or two. I mean, that tree's right there.
I would just ask only because that may, I don't know if that would have any effect on the site triangle or the case.
I mean, right now, you're telling me that you're going to put, the fence is going to be in the exact same location.
100%.
All right,
Okay.
and that's fine. That's what
That's
this
what
board
we'll,
will consider.
that's
sir.
what we'll look then
Okay,
at.
fine.
Yep.
Okay.
So that tree would have to then stay outside of the fence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I just want to make sure that's clear.
All right. Mr. Chairman, maybe Mr. Profaci or Mr. Carley.
Yeah, where the
comment on
proposed
site issue.
fence is not in the line of sight or sight triangle,
Okay.
and it's not extending past the front foundation wall of the house.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure by looking at it. I just wanted to make sure that was okay.
All right.
Charlie, did you have anything?
No, I agree with Mr. Rapp. It's a controlled intersection. I don't see any issues with sight distance.
Okay,
Fine and dandy.
perfect. Does anybody from the board have any questions for the applicant? Is there anything else we wanted to state, or?
No, I feel pretty confident. Those are
Okay.
my main points.
Perfect. All right, we're going to open it up to the public, so if I need to make a motion to open it up to the public?
Make a motion to open for public comment.
We need a second. Thank you, Joe. If anybody here from the public is for this application at 1281 Masoma, if you could please step up. No? I'm going to make a motion to close for the public.
Make a motion to close.
Thank you. Second? Second. Thank you, Joe. All right, so my colleagues, we heard Mr. and Mrs. Ford speak about the fence. We're looking for a bulk variance to install a 6-foot fence, privacy fence in the front yard area of Axel Avenue.
And also bulk variance for the closed fence.
For the closed fence, too, correct.
2 variances.
Yes, sorry, yes, for both. Thoughts?
Make a motion to approve the application.
Thank you, Joe. If I can get a second?
I'll second it.
Matt?
Thank you, Matt. Can I get a roll call, Kristen?
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Paul Castro?
Yes.
Mr. Scaturo?
Yes.
Ms. Millet?
Yes.
Mr. Bakrodata?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Hyman?
Yes. Congratulations, good luck.
Thank you all.
Hope the kids enjoy it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so we have 2 new applications. The first one is Julie Langsam, 359 Tremont Avenue, regarding Block 257, Lot 10. It's a setback variance to construct a 13-foot, 7-inch by 10-square-foot kitchen addition to the rear of the existing single-family dwelling. It's in an R2 single-family residential zone district. Good evening, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Good, thank you. If you could raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name, spelling your last name, and address for the record.
Julie Langsam, Langsam, 359 Tremont Avenue, Milltown, New Jersey, 08850.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I read a thing that I wrote?
Please,
Yeah, that I remember.
thank you.
To the members of the zoning board, My husband and I are here today to respectfully request your approval for a small addition to our home in order to enlarge our kitchen to provide adequate space to care for my mother and stepfather, who are both in their 90s and can no longer live independently. In 2018, we came before this board to request a variance that allowed us to create a small accessible living space for my father and his full-time caregiver after he could no longer afford assisted living. That space included a handicapped accessible bathroom and proved to be a blessing. My father lived with us for a good 5 years, surrounded by family, and we remain deeply grateful to you and to the township for approving our request. Now, 7 years later, we find ourselves in a similar situation. My mother is both blind and deaf, and her mobility is rapidly declining. We expect that she will soon require a wheelchair. She currently has a full-time caregiver, but maintaining that care along with separate housing and daily living expenses has become financially impossible. For that reason, we plan to move both my mother and stepfather into our home, where we can ensure that they are safe and cared for. During the years that my father lived with us, we learned how difficult it was to manage daily life in our very small kitchen. With one person in a wheelchair, cooking was a challenge, and we often had to eat in shifts. The proposed addition will simply give us enough room to move safely and comfortably while continuing to provide for my aging parents. I made a promise to my mother long ago that I would never place her in a nursing home, and I intend to keep that promise. My parents gave me everything they could, and it is now my turn to do the same for them. We have searched extensively for another home that could accommodate 5 people, including a caregiver, on one accessible level, but the current housing market and high prices make it impossible. Moreover, we love our home, our neighborhood, and the North Brunswick community, which has become welcoming and supportive for many years. We hope you will grant our request for this small addition so that we can continue to live here together with dignity in the town that we love. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I have a question. I see in the picture that you provided, you have an arrow pointed to the front of your house. Is that where the proposed kitchen?
The front of the house was the original addition.
Okay,
The kitchen is in the back.
in the rear of it. Okay, got it. So currently, your kitchen is just what you're saying is small now, correct?
It's very small. It can't really accommodate a wheelchair and 4 people. Like, cooking is impossible, the wheelchair gets in the way. It's just very, very difficult for us all to be in there.
All right, so
Got it.
the expanded kitchen will be able to accommodate the wheelchair for your
Yes.
mom, and obviously provide additional space for her, the caregiver.
Yes.
All right.
And we have the accessibility of the former addition with the wheel.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And just so the record's clear, you're seeking 2 variances. One of them is a side yard setback. 12 feet is required. It'll be 10.6 feet from the side property line. And lot coverage, maximum is 20%. You're looking at 25.3%. And I'm assuming in 2018, you exceeded the lot coverage then as well, so we probably granted a variance at that time as well.
Yes, we did. And I'd also like to add, we added a dry well, which you can see on the plot plan.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Can I sit, or should I stay?
If you could just stay there for real quick.
Okay.
Board, does
Firing line now will come.
yeah.
Joking.
Does anybody have questions for this applicant? Based on what you're looking at? So again, we have 2 variances. No questions? No? All right, Matt, if you'd like to sit down, you can.
Thank you very much.
All right. If I could get a motion to open for the public?
Motion open for the public.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please? Thank you. If anybody here from the public is here to speak at 359 Tremont Avenue, if you could please step forward. Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. If you could just raise your right hand and be sworn in.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, please state your name, spelling your last name and address for the record.
Darlene Crowley, Darleen, Crowley, 356 Stell, S-T-E-L-L-E Avenue. North Brunswick Township, Milltown mailing.
Okay, great.
I'm here to support Julie. I'm probably going to see more of her new addition than anybody, but yeah, I'm here to support my neighbor.
Okay, where is your property in relation?
So my backyard is diagonal, so to speak, of her backyard.
Okay.
And I'm also in a ranch, and I'm just high enough to see her house and her fence, and
Great, okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Anybody else from the public? No, can I get a motion to close? Public portion? Thank you, Joe. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, board. Once again, we just need a motion for this application. We're looking at extending the kitchen, giving the applicant permission for both the front yard setback and the side yard setback,
yard.
yeah,
And lot coverage.
and lot coverage.
I make a motion to approve both.
Second.
Thank you. Who seconded?
Mr. Buckley got it.
Thank you. If I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Polcastro?
Yes.
Mr. Scaturo?
Yes.
Ms. Millet?
Yes.
Mr. Bakladata?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Heyman?
Yes. Good luck, ma'am. Thank you very much for coming. All right, final application tonight is the North Brunswick Executive Park LLC. This is on Route 1. Attorney is Stephen Tripp. This is regarding Block 252, Lot 103, 1.03 and 1.06. It's a use variance to develop the site with two 1,000-square-foot warehouse buildings.
Not 1,000.
100,000, sorry, 100,000-square-foot warehouse buildings and two flex space buildings containing 50,142 square feet each. This is in an OR area, mid-rise office research zone. Good evening, Mr. Tripp.
Good evening. Stephen Tripp from the firm of Wilentz, Goldman & Spitzer on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is North Brunswick Executive Park, LLC. The property is a 23.69 acre lot, and again, as in the OR zone. It's got frontage on Route 1 and the ramp to College Farm Road East. You've got industrial behind it in the I-2 zone with Silver Line. You've got the Chamberlain University next door. The Crabiel Park is to the west, and you've got industrial zoning on the other side of Route 1. The applicant also owns a small lot on the other side of the Chamberlain site, Lot 1.03. It's about 2.3 acres, and it contains a detention basin that handles stormwater from this lot and the Chamberlain lot. This is a bifurcated use variance application. We're looking to get a use variance and subject to obtaining site plan approval if the board acts favorably on the application. Based on the aerials and our client's research, this site has been essentially vacant since the 1930s, almost a century. The applicant acquired it in 2023. You'll hear brief testimony from the applicant's representative, but essentially there's been no interest in developing the site with any of the uses that are permitted in the zone. And what we're proposing is a mix of uses that we think are particularly suitable for this site in this particular location. We're looking for two 100,000 square foot warehouse buildings, two 50,000 approximately flex space, which would include a mix of office, assembly, contractors, uses, labs, light manufacturing possibly, small scale storage. There's no tenants at this point. It's really just the idea is to try to come up with something that's modestly sized, that fits within the site, and that works, and that provides some flexibility in the ability to develop this property in a reasonable manner. The only other issue I would raise is that when we did file the application, the zoning officer Mr. Profaci had mentioned to me that he thought the ordinance did not permit parking in the front yard, and part of our variance plan has some parking in the front yard. We did include that in the notice, and there'll be some testimony on that. And if the board acts favorably on the use variance, we would ask that for that limited parking area that the engineer would describe, that we would get a C variance for that as well. And basically, what I'd like to do is start with William Ife, representative of the developer, just to give the board a little bit of background about their acquisition of the property and their efforts to develop the property to date.
Sir, come on.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Let me,
If you could raise your right hand, be sworn in.
you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, please state your name, spelling your last name, and your affiliation for the record.
My name is William Ife. Last name is I-A-F, like Florida, E. I'm a project manager with North Brunswick Executive Park, LLC, and I've been with the company for 30 years now.
Just speak a little louder into the microphone.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, that's okay.
I am the project manager for this acquisition. We acquired it in May of 2023 from New Jersey EDA. The process of acquiring the property was with a open bid with EDA, and we ended up being the winner for that. Since we've acquired it, we've done some research on what we could use it for. We've talked to many brokers, having them beat the bushes to try to get some interest, and they have so far told us that no one really is interested in doing an office building or a laboratory building on the property. They have been pushing us for the uses that they see, in which I have to agree with them, for a warehouse distribution center on that. And this is not a large cross-loading warehouse like you'll see in some places. These are more conventional, smaller 100,000 square foot warehouses. We also have flex space in the front of the site. We understand that the site should present as attractive a facade possible on Route 1 to match the rest of the town. So we have endeavored to do that. We have put 2 flex buildings in the front. We put the truck access behind the building. So from the front of the building, you see what would look like retail or normal public-facing uses. The finishes we intend to have are all high quality to support the attractive look of the project. As far as using it for warehouses, the location on Route 1, the proximity to the New Jersey Turnpike and Route 18, and the distribution networks in this part of New Jersey make this really suitable for a distribution site. The access keeps us away from any private homes or anything. And we've endeavored to put all of our truck operations internally. You'll see the buildings are facing each other, the truck courts, so that we're trying to buffer all the noise and anything negative from truck operations to be within the site. On the outside, we've got landscaping to the ordinance's requirements and and then some to make it as attractive to the outside as possible. And we hope the board will agree that it's an acceptable use for the site.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for this witness? No? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Chris Roach, our engineer, who did the variance plan, will testify, and I believe you have handouts.
I do, and then we also have large boards. I'm not sure the best place to set those up.
If you could put them on this side, if you wouldn't mind?
Sure.
Thank you. You could just label those into evidence.
Yeah, we'll put an A1, yeah, we'll just take a look at it.
Thank you.
I ended upstairs with you.
Great. Thanks.
I'm getting hungry now.
Thank you.
You can get this, it's A1.
Let me.
And if you could just swear your, yes, thank you.
Okay. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, please state your name, spelling your last name, professional affiliation for the record.
Sure. It's Christian Roche, R-O-C-H-E, with Langan, L-A-N-G-A-N, Engineering.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Tripp, you want to qualify your witness?
Certainly.
Okay.
Mr. Roach, can you just briefly review your professional background, your qualifications, and what your role is in the project?
Absolutely. I have bachelor's degrees in civil engineering and business from Lehigh University, as well as a master's degree in civil engineering from North Carolina State. I'm a professionally licensed engineer in the state of New Jersey, as well as several other states. I've appeared before many boards in New Jersey previously, and my role on this project was I was the lead civil engineer working with the applicant on the proposed site design.
Good, thank you. We'll accept your application.
Great. Thank you. So do we have to mark the exhibits at
If
all?
you can, well, do you want
know
to do it, or do we have these?
We have these, and I
Okay.
assume what you handed out is the same exhibits that you have up there?
So that would be Exhibit A1.
Yep, Exhibit A1 is a site
Okay.
aerial. Exhibit A2 is a site plan rendering.
All right, if Mr. Tripp wants to mark it, that's fine with me. So, okay.
The attorneys love this. They can't not line the
I
exhibits.
know. We don't get to do it that often. It's a treat. All right, so A1 is the site aerial.
And that's the first page that we have open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so the project site we're here to discuss this evening is identified as Block 252, Lot 1.06, North Brunswick Township Tax Map. It's approximately 23.7 acres, and it's generally bound by Route 1 and industrial zone properties to the north, Chamberlain University to the east, the Silver Line Windows and Doors Manufacturing Facility to the south, and open space and the park to the west. The site is primarily vacant. It's mainly occupied by grass cover, and access to the site is presently provided off of the Route 1 ramp, which eventually turns into College Farm Road East. As Mr. Tripp noted, Block 252, Lot 1.03 was also included as part of the application. It currently is occupied by an existing detention basin. We're not proposing any development within Lot 1.03. However, since it does accommodate drainage from Lot 1.06 and will continue to do so as part of this application, we included it as part of this application package. Our attorney also noted that Lot 1.06 is within the OR Office Research District and is part of any future site plan application. If the use variance were to be granted, we anticipate that we'll be compliant with the OR bulk zoning requirements, not seeking any bulk variances. Paul, if you don't mind going to Exhibit A2. Exhibit A2 is just a colored or rendered version of the site layout plan that was submitted as part of our use variance application package. And what the applicant is proposing to construct on site are 2 flex space buildings in the western portion of the site and 2 warehouse buildings on the eastern portion of the site. Each of the flex space buildings will have a footprint of 50,142 square feet and will each have 6 loading bays. So in total, multiplying that by 2, we'll have 100,284 square feet of flex space with 12 loading bays on the western portion of the site. On the eastern portion of the site, the applicant is proposing 2 warehouse buildings, each with a footprint of 100,000 square feet and 23 loading bays. Doubling that for the 2 buildings, we're proposing a total of 200,000 square feet of warehouse space with 46 loading bays. From a parking compliance perspective, using the criteria in the township ordinance, warehouses require 1 parking space per 2,500 square feet of gross floor area, and office space requires 3.3 parking spaces per 1,000 square feet of office floor area. So we conservatively assumed that the flex space buildings would be occupied by 50% warehouse and 50% office use, and then the warehouse buildings would be occupied by 10% office and 90% warehouse use. I know that's a lot of numbers. If you trust me, when you crunch those numbers, we're required to have 325 parking spaces on site, whereas we're presently proposing 401 parking spaces. And we didn't show it at this stage of the application, but if we were to move forward with the site plan, we would show conformance with the ADA parking requirements, the electric vehicle parking requirements. We'll have no issues with an application that's fully conforming in that regard.
And also, if you design it in terms of lot coverage, impervious coverage, everything's going to comply with what's right. We're not seeking any relief, and we won't be seeking any.
That's correct. As I was mentioning previously with the OR zoning, we wouldn't be seeking any type of bulk variances in the future site plan application phase. From a site circulation perspective, access is currently provided to the property, as I mentioned, via the curb cut off of the Route 1 ramp that eventually turns into College Farm Road East. That access point is going to be fully governed by the New Jersey Department of Transportation. So in order to move forward with the project as we go through the site plan application, we'd have to submit an access permit to NJDOT, who would review the safety, the geometry of that intersection. Stormwater management and utilities, the future design will be fully compliant with not only the township standards for stormwater management, it would also be compliant with the state standards and the Delaware Raritan Canal Commission standards. And the way we anticipate meeting these requirements is through a large amount of green infrastructure. And by green infrastructure, I mean bioretention basins, potentially constructed wetlands, or below-grade infiltration storage beds. Most of those would be located around the perimeter of the site to enhance landscaping in those areas. And then with utilities, we would provide water service to the site from the township water system. Sanitary sewer service would be provided by an existing private pump station and force main on the site, and PSE&G would provide electric and gas service. Lastly, with the landscaping and lighting, this of course would be discussed in a lot more detail during a future site plan application hearing, but we anticipate on the order of planting 250 new trees. The vast majority of these would be evergreens around the site perimeter. Out of those 250, we anticipate 225 would be these evergreens, and then we'd mix in on the order of 25 or so shade trees or ornamental trees within the parking lot areas, with the overall intention that the landscaping would be fully compliant with ordinance requirements. Lighting, we propose a mix of new LED fixtures. Those would be building mounted as well as pole mounted fixtures. All new LED, we'd apply the appropriate Kelvin or lighting temperature to those fixtures. And most importantly, the lighting design would be fully conforming with the township ordinance. So, Mr. Tripp, those are the main items I wanted to touch on. I can, if it makes sense now, just go over some of the professional comments very briefly.
You heard in my opening, I talked about parking in the front yard, and that we're seeking at least a C variance for parking that's limited to one particular area, correct? Can you just identify it and explain why we have some parking located?
Sure. We are proposing at the top left or northwest corner of the page in front of the flex space building, and I can walk over and point it out if it's easier, between Route 1 and the flex space building, 72 parking stalls. The reason for this is because it helped us delineate and separate the truck traffic and auto traffic in that area. Typically, we like to have the auto parking on the opposite side of the building and the truck court. I will also note, though, too, if there was some apprehension granting that variance, we would still meet the overall parking requirements if we were to eliminate that parking lot. I will, and if there's any specific items that anyone would like me to discuss on, I'm happy. I was just going to touch on some of the main ones. As far as the engineering letter, we have no objection to complying with the comments. I think most of them were related to future permits that we know we would have to obtain for the application to move forward. The only thing I think they requested any type of testimony, and Charlie, chime in if I missed anything, was just related to our hours of operations. At this point in time, most of these buildings are built on a speculative basis. We anticipate that the hours of operations would be normal business hours, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If any of those hours were extended into, I'll call them nightly time periods, they would of course be in full conformance with the state and township standards for noise.
Yep.
Now,
I mean, you don't have a tenant at this particular point in time, so.
Exactly.
Right.
The hours are 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.? And there was a traffic and safety report, which our traffic engineer will address.
Sure.
That. And on the environmental commission report, there were some comments regarding the use, which our planner will address, but there was a comment about impervious coverage and the impact. Address that comment.
Sure. I think there were two things in that letter. One was dealing with the impervious coverage impact. That impervious coverage, or the increase in impervious coverage, will be mitigated by the aforementioned green infrastructure measures, which again will be designed in full conformance with the state, township, and governing regulations for stormwater management.
And you're not seeking any lot coverage variance at this point, right? Okay.
No, and I think we're actually significantly below. The ordinance allows up to 80%, and we're at 64% right now.
And in terms of, I think there was a comment about the detention basin.
I think the comment, it was, there were 3 bullet points in the comment, and what they were really requesting was sustainability measures be built into the proposed development. I think solar was one of them. I think they were saying green roofs. In addition, they also wanted us to consider just making the basins wildlife safe. We have no objection to the last comment regarding wildlife safe. Relative to the solar, it just really will depend on the future tenant. I think many of us are aware there have been some fires in New Jersey related to solar on top of warehouse. So we're not saying no at this point, but as the project were to evolve, we can certainly provide a more accurate answer on whether or not we'd be willing to consider that.
Yeah, some of those issues could be addressed in
And a site plan?
Yeah.
hopefully we get that far.
Okay.
I don't know if you could answer this for me, but just in regards to the landscaping, I see on the side of Chamberlain, it looks like you have trees, arborvitaes, whatever the greenery is. I was just wondering on the side of Craybill Park, the trees or what you have evergreens only runs along, it looks like the football field side, and then it stops, if you're looking at it like in left field. Do you have anything planned, or what would be along, if you're looking at that picture, center field, right
Left
field?
center field.
Left center
Left
field.
center field it stops.
Left center field. Is there anything there? Are you going to have a fence? Is there going to be trees? Is it?
I think it's certainly something we could work with the board on in future phases. There is enough space to get another row of evergreens there. I think we just got to see how close we are to I think there's a path on the opposite side of the fence there on the baseball, but we can certainly get some additional screening there. If for some reason they wanted a fence in certain areas, I think the applicant.
The only reason why I'm asking is I'm familiar with that. There's a lot of people there just to separate, and I don't know what you plan to separate those two pieces of property, but there's a lot of people that walk in the past through onto to the property and back and forth. So just to separate, so your property is safe, and on the other side, the people in the park are somewhat safe. So I just didn't know if there was a fence, evergreens, trees, just for separation of properties.
At this point, we're just showing the evergreens, but I think it's an extremely valid point, and I'm pretty confident the applicant will have no objection to adding a fence at those critical locations.
Okay.
I think if the board acts favorably on the application, then certainly we would agree with the addition, and on the site plan approval, we address this particular area.
Yeah, I would just like to see something there, just,
It's not an issue.
okay, perfect. Any other questions for this witness? Yes, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie. Will there be a separate traffic engineer testifying?
We have a traffic engineer who's going to testify next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As Mr. LaRoche testified, the site planning issues and the utility issues, if the board acts favorably upon the use, which is the matter at hand, will be adjudicated at a future preliminary and site plan application. However, talking with Mr. Profaci, he does point out you might have cause to talk to your neighbors. There will be between you and your neighbors at Silverline. Apparently they have problems with potable water for their sprinkler system. So if you could talk to them and they could talk to you and maybe you come to some sort of resolution. That's not a moment for the board's consideration tonight, but that's something for you folks to think about in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just for something you to think about some other time.
Thank you.
Charlie, anything else? They've addressed your comments,
No,
the report?
Laura's testimony pretty much summed up the state of engineering as it's before the board right now.
Okay.
I want to bring up one thing, too. We have this is part of the site plan. In our light industrial zone, we have a whole section in our ordinance regarding architecturals. If we could have them abide by those architecturals for that.
Yeah, during site plan.
Okay.
If the board
During
acts
site plan.
favorably, you'll
We
obviously.
submitted some conceptual architecturals, but during site plan,
Okay.
we demonstrate compliance with those things.
That's fine.
Just to clarify the record, your testimony is that the flex space would be used approximately 50% warehouse and 50% office?
Yes.
And then the warehouse
it-
would be 90 with
It would be a
ancillary office?
mix of, it could be a variety of uses. There could be some light assembly, there could be local contractors. It's going to depend. There could be
For-
some small-scale storage.
For calculation of parking purposes?
Yeah, I think for purposes of parking calculation, you were conservative, correct?
I mean, if the flex space were to go 100% office, is there enough parking on site?
Yeah, so we were conservative. We don't think we're going to have 50% office in that building. We think it's probably going to be a little bit less office and more storage space. The reason we want to be conservative is to make sure we have enough parking. And if for some reason we had a bunch of tenants come in which wanted 60%, 70% office, we'd of course come back with the appropriate parking or increase in parking to meet that demand.
I just have one question, and I'm sure, Mr. Tripp, you're probably going to say that's fine. I see that the loading areas are on the internal sides of these buildings.
Correct.
All right, and that's going to remain so during the site plan.
Correct.
All right, and the reason I ask that is I want to make sure that these are not going to be, and I don't think they're big enough to be, but we don't want them to be both sides having distribution loading bays for a fulfillment center or something of that nature.
We're not proposing
Okay.
floating. The whole idea was to come up with something that fit the site that was of a more modest scale. I think the applicant mentioned that as well.
All right, and obviously, if that's the representation, that's, that deals with different traffic, deals with different sized vehicles, et
Correct.
cetera. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm looking at this building height. It says 75 feet, and then also it's TBD, so
75 feet is what's allowable in the OR zone. On the architectural plans that were submitted, and keep in mind, these may change slightly. I believe the flex space had a roof height of, here it is, sorry, scrolling through my notes here. The flex space had a roof height of 35 feet, and then it was 41 feet, 7 inches up to the parapet. The warehouses had a height of 40 feet to the roof and 45 feet to the parapet, and we'll better define those during the site plan application.
so it's going to be below 75 feet.
I'm sorry?
It's going to be below 75.
Oh, yeah, way less than 75, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you can answer, or somebody else is going to speak to this, but fire suppression systems within the buildings?
We did receive comments from the fire marshal, and we have no objection complying to those comments. Yeah, most likely it'll be fire suppression.
Okay. Perfect. All right, thank you. Anybody else? No? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next witness is Dan Desario, our traffic engineer.
Sir, please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, professional affiliation for the record.
Certainly, name is Dan Desario, D-I-S-A-R-I-O. I'm also with Langen Engineering, and I am a principal with that firm.
And can you just provide the board with a little bit of your professional background?
Certainly, Bachelor of Science Civil Engineering from Temple University, Master of Science in Transportation Engineering from NJIT. I'm a licensed professional engineer in New Jersey as well as several other states. I have appeared before this board, although not this complexion, but the shops at North Brunswick was my project. I'm a former resident of the township. I lived in North Village Apartments when I was married in '93. I am now a resident in South Brunswick, so that is my mayor sitting to my left.
There you go.
Taxes are all paid, Charlie, although the bills for quarter coming up haven't been mailed out yet.
They're coming.
Okay.
We'll accept your qualifications.
And just one more anecdote, just so the board is familiar with my experience. I've done about 1 billion square feet of warehousing projects throughout North America, so I'm very well versed with this type of land use that's before the board.
Okay, great, thank you.
And with that, I would submit respectfully, in terms of this site's location, this is an ideal site for what the applicant's seeking approval for, not only for the flex buildings, but also for the warehouse buildings. Great regional access being right along Route 1. Route 130 is right next door, as well as Route 18. It connects this site very easily to exit 9 on the New Jersey Turnpike. And if there were any vehicles, particularly trucks that wanted to be destined to and from the south, you can easily get to 8A going right down 130. So I don't often say this about warehouse-type applications, but I can with this one. If the board grants the relief the applicant seeks and they build this project, there'll be zero impact directly to residents in this township as well as adjacent townships because the truck traffic will be relegated to regional highways. And that's not often the case, but it certainly is with this application. And with that, I've done a very detailed study dated May 28th of this year. I'd be happy to answer any specific questions regarding that traffic study, but I'll just give you the highlights. In terms of how much traffic we would envision these buildings generating, we looked at published trip rates. The Institute of Transportation Engineers is my profession's professional society. They put out a publication called Trip Generation Manual. It's now in its 12th edition. That's basically a collection of information collected from existing land uses all over the country. And they put forth trip rates that engineers like myself use to estimate how much traffic new uses would generate. As it relates to the flex buildings as well as the proposed warehouse buildings, based on those published trip rates, during a morning peak hour, so 1 hour between 7 and 9 on a weekday, in round numbers, we could expect about 160 vehicles coming in a single hour and about 33 exiting for a total two-way of about 193 vehicles. Of those, about 8 would be trucks coming in and 8 would be trucks leaving. Similarly, during a weekday evening, 1 hour between 4 and 6, again, round numbers, about 50 vehicles coming in, about 150 vehicles leaving for total two-way traffic of about 200 trips. And of those, about 12 trucks. Of those, 12 would be trucks coming in and 12 would be trucks exiting. To put that in context, and it's amazing how high these numbers are, based on our traffic counts, Route 1 in front of the site during those peak hours is carrying in both directions, so total two-way, about 9,000 to 10,000 vehicles. So about 5,000 vehicles in each direction in those hours during commute times from 7 to 9 and 4 to 6 in a single hour. So when you look at it in that context, what the applicant is proposing in terms of additional traffic that would be generated by these buildings, I would respectfully submit to you, it's modest by any measure. And if you were inclined to grant approval, and you went out there today and you looked at traffic along Route 1 or along College Farm East or along Silverline Drive or Technology Drive, and then the applicant built this project, and you went back out there and you looked at that same traffic along those roads, you wouldn't be able to discern a noticeable difference in traffic because of this project. As Chris had testified to earlier, we are subject to DOT review and approval. DOT controls not only the ramp where we're seeking access, but College Farm Road East, Technology Way on the other side, as well as Silverline Drive. All of those roads and the connecting ramps to and from Route 1 are all controlled by DOT. So the applicant has to go and seek a major access permit from the Department of Transportation as it relates to this project. Again, if you're inclined to grant approval. We, We did receive one letter from Traffic Safety. Based on our traffic counts, Route 1 in front of the site during those peak hours, 1 hour between 4 and 6, and of those, about 5,000 vehicles in each direction. So about 5,000 vehicles in each direction in a single hour. So when you look at it in that context, what the applicant is proposing in terms of additional traffic that would be generated by these buildings, I would respectfully submit to you, it's modest by any measure. And if you were inclined to grant approval, we did receive one letter That letter essentially had one concern about trucks making a left turn from the proposed driveway out onto the ramp to head to Route 1 northbound. I've looked at it. There's clear sight lines. I don't necessarily share that same level of concern. However, respectfully, what we would request of the board is to defer that issue to site plan and allow us to go to DOT if you grant approval on the use variance, and have a pre-application meeting with DOT, solicit their feedback, input, and concerns, and then we would be in a better position as part of site plan to show what the DOT is going to allow or not allow as it relates to that driveway that the applicant seeks. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board members may have.
I do have a question. I'm not so much concerned about the traffic on Route 1. What percent of these people that you just spoke about would be going on 130? We have, Route 1 is more lanes. Route 130 is a little bit less lanes. We have a lot of traffic now. There's a lot of things coming up, on 130 that's being built. So how much percentage of traffic from this location will be going one south to 130 south?
So what I've modeled is, and what I've assumed for purposes of analysis, is that 40% of the cars would go to and from the north on Route 1, 40% of the cars would go to and from the south on Route 1, and 20% of the cars would go to and from College Farm Road West. That's kind of a backdoor into New Brunswick, if you know what I'm referring to. Of the 40% to and from the south, I would anticipate it would be probably split evenly between 130 and Route 1 heading south. So just to give you an idea, let's talk about morning peak hour. 160 vehicles coming in. 20% of that would equate to about 32 vehicles coming up 130 in a northbound direction to get to this site.
How about the trucks? Not so much your
trucks.
Cars. How about the trucks? What do you think that they're going to be going down 130, or are they going to mostly be going one north to 18 and that way, Turnpike?
So two things. I'll tell you what I modeled, and then I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. So I modeled 70% of the trucks going to and from the north along Route 1, oriented essentially to exit 9 off of 18 for the New Jersey Turnpike, and about 30% trucks going to and from the south along Route 1. Some of those trucks, yes, they may also go along Route 130, but I would anticipate it's not going to be that many.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is I think, particularly as it relates to the warehouse buildings, they're going to be very much oriented to the ports, Port Elizabeth, Port Newark, Port Bayonne.
Right.
We all have heard tariffs and the impact on the economy. Well, the reason why they're very impactful is because most of the goods that come in our country are coming from overseas. So these two buildings are going to be very heavily oriented and reliant on port activity. So most of the trucks coming to and from these buildings are going to be oriented to the north because that's where the ports are.
Turnpike. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
What's the approximate distance from the off-ramp to your proposed entrance currently?
I'm sorry, sir, one more time? Mr. Reporter. I couldn't hear you.
What's the approximate distance from the off-ramp of Route 1 to the proposed driveway?
It's about 400 feet.
So I'll be honest, I used to take College Farm Road West into Rutgers for years to drop my kids off at daycare, and used to get off this exit of Route 1. Given the Milltown Road feed-in to Route 1, getting into that exit lane usually was not done at a low rate of speed. Everyone's going fast down Route 1. People from Milltown Road are trying to accelerate to get onto Route 1, and I'm sitting there trying to decelerate to get off of Route 1.
With your kids.
Which meant oftentimes I did not decelerate as much as I would have liked. I'm concerned that with traffic entering and exiting the site at that location, the amount of time for a driver in that driveway to determine whether or not that car they see in the exit entrance lane there is getting off or getting on Route 1, and the speed at which they come off Route 1, whether or not, I mean, obviously there's some concern about left-turning trucks onto that entrance of Route 1 North, but I'm really concerned about essentially anyone trying to cross that roadway to turn left onto Route 1 North. Given that there's an entrance to Route 1 North at the other side of College Farm Road East, would it be feasible to do a right turn only out of the driveway?
Anything's feasible, and certainly you raise a good concern and a valid concern. The only thing I would point out is, yes, the driveway's 400 feet from Route 1, but you have the ability to see further along Route 1 in terms of a sight line. So effectively, it's more like 600-700 feet away in terms of being able to see a driver that's coming along Route 1 north in that rightmost lane. That's why I wanted to defer in terms of what the eventual access configuration is to site plan to let us go talk with DOT, because I have no doubt in my mind that DOT is going to raise the same concern. Yeah. And we have to defer to them in terms of what eventually it is. Is there and I'll be very frank with you, is there a very high likelihood that no lefts out will be allowed here? In other words, that left turns would be prohibited by DOT as part of their review? Yes, I think that's a very high likelihood.
Okay.
Charlie.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. To Mr. Wright's point, if a vehicle's coming off of Route 1 at, say, 50 miles an hour, and you have 400 feet, that gives the person taking a turn about 5.5 seconds to make a decision. It also makes the person coming off of Route 1 going 50 miles an hour 5.5 seconds to make a decision. And I think I get Mr. Wright's point that a vehicle taking a left to go into that short jug handle might present a problem in that 5 seconds. And so what am I hearing you say? That's a question.
What I'm saying is, let's defer to site plan what the eventual driveway configuration is, and let us, and we would welcome the board's professionals too, to go down and talk with DOT, probably in the form of a pre-application meeting to solicit their feedback. And I think there's a high likelihood they're going to prohibit left turns, but we would like to explore that.
Okay. And then the same, the other half of the walnut is, even taking the right turn, you might want to have a broadened right turn lane to give a little bit of acceleration space coming out of the project. Yeah. So those are considerations. Ultimately, it's going to be adjudicated by DOT. Right. There's no local roads here. There's no county roads. They're definitely getting a major access permit. They may be getting a major access permit with planning, although you're right there on the cusp, it seems like. If the board approves the use, the old saying is it's a long way to Tipperary before Mr. DeSario draws his final cartoons. Is that about right, Mr. DeSario?
That is correct, and you're right to characterize that plan as a cartoon at this point, because it is a concept level plan just to convey to the board what the applicant's intending to construct by way of use. It's by no means a final design as it relates to the driveway, by no means. And I think your suggestion's a good one. We might have to provide an acceleration lane for a right turn coming out. I think that makes great sense, and that's something we would want to explore with DOT as well.
What I would suggest is a condition that the township advised of when there's a meeting with DOT, provide the township with an opportunity to have its professionals attend the meeting so that you're in the loop when this is all discussed. If this was a preliminary or final site plan application, you'd have to, at this point, make a decision on this issue. But because we have to come back for site plan approval and
meet all the site plan requirements, and at that point, hopefully have a DOT, either an access permit in hand or knowing what DOT is requiring, I think we can handle it at that point. But we have no objection to involving your professionals in our meetings with DOT.
All right, and I think maybe what we could also indicate in the resolution, well, if this board acts favorably on the use variance this evening, is it's the board's preference to see that, right turn only out and maybe a deceleration lane. I mean, I'm not a traffic engineer, but I'm looking at this, and yeah, that's a tough turn to come out and get onto that little jug handle, particularly, and we all know that College Farm Road continues further, and you can get onto Route 1 at, 60 miles an hour without a problem, and then, you're at Riders Lane already. So, all right, but we could add that in, Mr. Chairman.
I'm just interested, did you calculate the numbers that you gave us? Was it just for your location or for Chamberlain University as well?
Our traffic counts include Chamberlain University's volumes, but I don't know what this specific Chamberlain University traffic is.
Gotcha, okay.
So that 9,000 to 10,000 that I quoted in terms of the Route 1 corridor, it includes Chamberlain's traffic.
I was just, I don't want to belabor the point, but there's going to be a lot of cars. From what I'm looking at, and I can't picture it now, cars coming north or heading north that want to go to the university, that's their only entrance into the property, correct?
Yes, they will pass in front of the driveway.
Okay.
The applicant's proposed driveway, all of Chamberlain's traffic that's coming from the south will pass that driveway.
But how will they enter into their property? From this entrance? Is there only one road in, or?
There are two roads into the Chamberlain property.
There's two? Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Chamberlain's got two driveways along that same ramp or College Farm East.
Got it, okay.
Yep. And you can see on aerial, I guess that's exhibit A2, that's up on the easel. You see where the applicant's proposed driveway is. As you look to the right towards the top of the sheet,
Right, but if they're coming off of Route 1,
yep,
and if they wanted to go to school,
Yes.
but right there's the entrance into the whole property is just there. That would be the only entrance coming in.
correct. So anyone going to Chamberlain from the south that's heading north on Route 1 gets off and passes the applicant's proposed driveway.
Entrance. Okay, I got it. Now I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions?
Yeah,
No,
well,
thank you so much.
Thank you for your
Do
time.
you have any more
Appreciate it.
witnesses?
I do my professional plan.
Okay. I saw you in the back, I figured.
Yeah, please raise your right hand.
Waiting
You swear to
patiently.
tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, please state your name, spelling your last name, professional affiliation for the record.
Yes, good evening. It's Paul Greigel, Grygiel, professional planner with the firm Phillips Price Greigel Laney Keller.
We've met before.
You've been here before.
I've been here a
Many
couple
times,
times in
right?
the past few years, that's correct.
In the other building.
A couple of other projects, yes.
I'm saying in the other, when we were.
Okay. Oh, in the other building, yeah, yes, the last two times were across the street, correct.
Okay. Well, why don't you qualify him anyway, Mr. Tripp? Okay.
Just for the record.
Yes.
Brief qualifications and professional background.
Yes, I was licensed in 1999 as a New Jersey professional planner. My license remains current and good standing. I'm also a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. As I mentioned, I'm a principal with Phillips Price Planning and Real Estate Consultants in Hoboken, so I go around the state on behalf of applicants and as well as represent boards as a planner.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
So, Mr. Greigel, can you tell us what we were asked to do here?
Yes, just briefly, it was to review the appropriateness of this application with a focus on the use variance as well as the one bulk variance we're seeking. From a planning perspective,
And in fact, we met with you and discussed this before we ever filed the application, correct?
yes, that was rare for applicant to do that, which was great, though, to be involved from the outset. As such, I reviewed the application as was being put together and the plans as they were worked out. Also, all related documents with regard to the application itself. I've been out to the site and surrounding area to inspect conditions and reviewed relevant sections of the township's master plan and zoning ordinance.
And can you briefly review what the proposal is and address the planning issue?
Certainly. Our engineer, Mr. Roach, went through the description of the site and the surrounding area. I did prepare another exhibit that's marked as A3, which just has a little bit more information. I won't go into great detail on it, but it, just for the record, shows the existing zoning as well as the land uses which are color-coded in the area. As was mentioned, and as the board's aware, the applicant is seeking a use variance. The OR zone permits a wide range of uses. It does not permit exactly what we're proposing, but from a planning point of view, I do believe that the application can be granted in accordance with the applicable criteria to deviate from the OR zoning to allow the warehouse and flex buildings on the subject property.
Range of uses in the OR zone, predominantly different types of offices, correct?
Yes, different types. So whether it's administrative, executive, or editorial offices, financial offices, medical and dental, but also hotels, educational services such as Chamberlain University, and various other, what you normally would find in an office park type of development. But again, light industrial warehouse are not strictly permitted in this zone. Laboratory is probably the closest thing that is. So in terms of the variance proofs, with regard to the two parts of it, there's a positive criteria. We need to demonstrate that the site's particularly suitable to accommodate the development. In my opinion, it is. There are three main factors the board can consider. The location. Again, we've heard a lot about this already, and looking at A3, Route 1 kind of runs through the middle there. The subject property is in the middle, surrounded by an orange line. It shows the boundaries of the OR district in white. So we're in a zone that only includes the university property to the east, as well as the retention basin lot. The other zones nearby to the southeast and northwest are the I-2 industrial zone, which does permit warehousing and manufacturing and other types of uses in that zone district. The mix of land uses also is similarly varied, but you're predominantly nearby in a setting that has other types of heavier, if you will, uses, ranging from labs and offices and other types of industrial type uses, including the Silver Line factory to the southeast. More importantly, in terms of location, though, we're on Route 1. The applicant has discussed the traffic, which will be worked out hopefully during site plan stage, but we're allowing for direct access to the highway network and, more importantly, up to Route 18 and the Turnpike. So that really makes a big difference in terms of accommodating of use of this type. There's no need for any truck traffic, or even for that matter, much vehicular traffic in general, to go through residential neighborhoods, again, given the direct access to the highway, both to the north and south on Route 1, and then down to Route 130. There are no connections, for the record, to local streets from this property. The second factor is its setting. Again, as I was starting to get into with regard to the mix of non-residential uses nearby, the property is essentially isolated from any residential. The closest residential is at least 500 feet away. Beyond the county park over in Milltown, there is no residential in North Brunswick within the immediate vicinity. Again, it's a mix of various commercial and other non-residential uses nearby. There's no vehicular access, again, to residential areas. So I think that from the setting, it's an appropriate location to consider a different use than what's permitted in the zone. Lastly, in terms of size, typically we talk about bigger being better. And in this case, where we have a property that is somewhat smaller than a typical industrial property, I believe just under 24 acres, that actually means we're somewhat limited in what can be built here. So as was the testimony, the warehouse buildings themselves are much smaller than the mega-type facilities that people are often more fearful of or have concerns about traffic. So they're actually very modestly sized in the world of this type of development. Likewise, the flex space is similarly rather small in terms of the realm of these types of uses. So clearly, this would not be a large-scale warehouse. We already have that in the record. If you look at the state guidelines, you're talking distribution centers over 500,000 square feet. Again, we're talking 100,000 per building here. It's not even the size of a large fulfillment center. So I think that also makes a difference in terms of limiting impacts and the board's potential concerns about those impacts. So for those reasons, I think the site is particularly suitable to accommodate a use other than what's permitted in the zone.
Purposes of zoning that are advanced: Purpose A of the municipal land use law. The applicant is promoting the health, safety, and general welfare by actually proposing a development of the site that's been vacant for about a century, according to our review of aerials. It's with a use that actually makes sense given the factors I mentioned. And likewise, Purpose G of the land use law, providing sufficient space for appropriate uses, such as this one. We have a site that has been undeveloped for some time but can accommodate the warehouse and flex development. In terms of the negative criteria, the last aspect we need to address, the first part is if there's any potential impacts on the public good. Again, I'm not going to rehash everything we've heard already regarding the setting, but essentially there's no potential significant negative impacts on the surrounding area, particularly compared to permitted uses. This is a zone district that does allow for various non-residential uses, but we can address traffic, drainage, and all the other impacts. In terms of the zone plan and zoning ordinance, the main factor I'll consider, instead of going through great detail here, 2018 was the last master plan update for North Brunswick. As we're all aware, things have changed dramatically in the last 7 years, both because of COVID, but also just generally with office market not being as viable as it once was. So there's actually, this trend of a property that's zoned for something that just doesn't make as much sense anymore. We're providing a use that we think makes sense here, especially given its location adjacent to the I-2 zone and across the highway from the I-2 zone. So in terms of the reconciliation of why this use should be permitted, I think, again, there's some very specific site factors in its location and size and setting that warrant your consideration of granting this use variance. So for those reasons, I do believe the positive and negative criteria are met, and there be no substantial detriments on the master plan or zoning ordinance, given the changed circumstances and the particulars of this site.
In terms of the parking in the front yard, that one limited area, can you just briefly address that?
Yes, and we've already heard engineering testimony with regard to that. From a planning point of view, I believe it's a C2 variance of allowing for a benefit of having the separation of the truck and car traffic on site and providing for a limited amount of parking spaces in the front yard area. I would note that it's not uncommon along Route 1 to have parking in the front. You actually have on the neighboring property a similar situation in other nearby properties as well. But again, we'll have landscaping and at site plan stage. If we get there, the applicant can provide additional landscaping as necessary to screen the parking. But I think the benefits of allowing for a limited number of spaces in the front of the building outweigh any detriments from that noncompliance.
Good? Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Does anybody, yes, Jonathan? Yes, Jonathan?
It's not often that we actually get a property that's mentioned in the master plan before us. So the authors of the master plan had specific ideas or plans for what they wanted to see on this property. There's a reason it's zoned OR. It's one of 2 properties in the township that's zoned as such. Right. And so that's a large pill for me to swallow when we're proposing a use that is not what they intended, not in conformity with OR, and the amount of remaining space for OR, I venture to say, may be undevelopable, given the wetlands situation of that property. Do you have any comment on that?
Yes, that's a factor. We've, right from the start, have discussed the issue of the fact that it's a very specific site. I think the consideration of it being zoned for this, for these uses for a number of years now, and in the 7 years since the master plan was adopted, no one's come forward to say, I think it makes sense to build here. And again, the range of uses is rather broad. One would think that if given the location on a major highway close to Route 18 and Exit 9, someone would come forward with that. So I say I understand that it's the desire that the planning board put forth. We'd all love, maybe to see the uses match exactly what's in the zoning. I'm a planner for towns as well, certainly. But unfortunately, sometimes there are sites that just have different circumstances. Here, again, the neighboring properties being in the I-2 zone. In fact, the Crayville Park was actually in that zone as well, so it shrunk the size of it, or at least was part of this property previously. So you've essentially seen that it didn't work for those purposes.
Mr. Greco, let me ask you a question. This property's been vacant since 1930?
That's what, based on our historic aerial review, yes, that's correct.
It's zoned OR. I would think if we're almost 100 years now, zoning obviously coming into play in the 1940s and 50s, 1970s, we had a fairly active Central Jersey office market. We don't have that any longer, am I correct?
That's fair to say.
In fact, it's not vibrant at all. It would be.
No, look, we were looking to focus just on this site, but that is certainly, in my experience as a planner, I remember when the Tower Center was built years ago when I went to Rutgers. I remember when other developments were built, and those are all now almost, outdated, and many office parks built in the 80s and even the 90s have already been redeveloped to other uses throughout northern and central New Jersey.
Right. In fact, the Tower Center is a great comparison. I also happen to be the attorney for East Brunswick Township for the last 27 years. Tower Center has some significant vacancy issues, and that's the largest office building probably in Middlesex County, at least this part, southern Middlesex County. So in your professional opinion, I understand the master plan says one thing, but is there any real demand for office on this office or laboratory or anything similar to what this area is zoned for?
In my opinion, no, based on discussions with the applicant and its attempts to try to, would love to put a permitted use there, but also as a planner, knowing, the realities of how the office market has shifted and, for that matter, essentially evaporated in many locations.
And is that attributable to the pandemic as well?
That hastened it, but prior to that, I've written master plans myself prior to 2020 that talked about repurposing offices because that's been the trend for probably at least a decade now, with more remote work prior to the pandemic, and that only made it worse.
So you talk about the flex space buildings, though. If you could just, I don't know if you can or somebody else, just expand a little bit more on the flex space and the office use for those flex space.
Sure, I'll defer to the applicant
Thank you.
on that, yes.
To the question of the master plan and office space, we understand that the master plan, the zoning is derived from the master plan, and the master plan says office. I believe that goes back to 1984 in the ordinance. We have tried, because it is much simpler to just, is much simpler to provide a conforming application than it is to come and ask for a use variance. We have tried to find someone to take this as office space, and we have come up empty. And we've asked Cushman & Wakefield, we've asked JLL, we've asked some other smaller brokers, and there's no one interested in that. We also hate to ever talk about anybody else's property, but we understand the same thing about the large buildings in East Brunswick, that they're having, they have more vacancies than they would like. As far as the flex buildings go, Chris said before that he figured the parking based on 50% office, 50% storage in the back, and the reason for doing that is because the office space requires more parking. So our effort was to demonstrate that we were able to provide sufficient parking if someone came in and actually needed 50% office space in a flex building. The flex buildings themselves are designed for people who need a little bit of office space and shop space or assembly space or something at the same location at the same time, not to have an office downtown someplace and have a factory someplace else. These are smaller operations. These are plumbers, carpenters, electricians, cabinet makers, people who generally would serve the local community and not so much to be a large producer or a large manufacturer. So the experience we've had is that the office component in the flex buildings is smaller, and in the larger part of the square footage is shop or assembly or storage.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
I suppose I'm having a difficult time wrapping my head around the economic argument. Sure. Okay. There's a major development in downtown New Brunswick right now called the Helix. Are you familiar with it?
New Brunswick Helix, yes.
Yeah. That structure, 3 high-rise buildings of, I believe, in excess of 30 floors, combines commercial space, combines laboratories, combines educational facilities. And the primary principal uses in the OR zone include professional offices, experimental research, or testing laboratories, or educational services.
Right.
So I mean, that sounds like, given that this property is one of the closest properties to Rutgers University in town, it seems like the ideal property to house something like what is currently being built and presumably inhabited or occupied in New Brunswick.
Well, like I just come from the planning point of view really briefly, just because the Helix project, one of the main tenants is actually moving from Berkeley Heights, a former client of ours, which was out in a more suburban location, wants to be next to a train station in an urban setting in a much different type of environment. So that's one.
No, and I'll be honest, you're not building high rises here. This is not the same site.
Not debating.
I don't want this board to take judicial notice that downtown New Brunswick, is a comparable site.
But if we're going to take judicial notice that these sorts of facilities are uninhabitable or won't be occupied.
I'm not taking judicial notice, Mr. Wright. I think the difference is that one site is in downtown New Brunswick, across the street from a train station, across the street from the largest hospital in the state of New Jersey, 2 blocks from the largest state university, and 2 blocks from Johnson & Johnson. I think it's totally unanalogous to the situation of a site that's been vacant on Route 1 for 100 years. I don't want to take any comparison of those two. I don't think that's fair to the applicant, and I don't think that's fair to the board either.
I would agree, and it was also in the early 2000s, there was a office development that was drawn up for this site that complied with the OR ordinance requirements, and it withered on the vine. It died. There were no takers.
I have a question for you. You say you bought this property from the New Jersey Economic Development
EDA.
Agency?
Yes, sir.
Obviously, that's a state agency that is responsible for economic development in the state of New Jersey. How long did they own the property?
They own the property, I think they own the property for somewhere like 15 to 20 years, and they attempted to do conforming zoning with that, and I believe it was done, the prior effort was done with them owning the property. Their proposals were, one of the requirements was that you couldn't get a use variance. They wanted to do it in conformance with the ordinance. We said we couldn't do that, and then they said, okay, so you can't have the property. About 2 or 3 months later, they called us up and they said, how about buying the property from us? So they could not get anyone else to take it with the conforming zoning. We would love to do the conforming.
And they agreed, they gave up on having that restriction.
They gave up on the restriction and they conveyed the property to us. To be honest, we would love to do a conforming application because they are conforming. But it's not viable there. It hasn't been viable there for a very long time. And that's the only motivation we have for coming in and asking for the variance from the board.
Anything else? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other witnesses?
No, that's our case.
Okay. So if I can get a motion to open to the public, I don't see anybody here, but if I can get a motion to open to the public?
I'll make a motion to open to the public.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Anybody who's here from the public, please step forward. Can I get a motion to close the public? Thank you. Can I get a second, please? All right. Thank you. So, board, we heard all the witnesses. We have to make a decision.
Yeah, let me just summarize.
Sure, please.
I can,
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
yeah, I
I'll
just,
let you
want to
summarize.
very briefly, and then I will defer to your attorney. The only thing I wanted to say is that, I've been doing land use in this state for a good 40-plus years, and to me, this is one of the strongest particular site suitability cases I personally have presented, because I think if you look at the location, you look at the uniqueness of the property, you look at the industrial area that's surrounding it, the mix of uses, and most importantly, the approximate location to major transportation routes, where you'll have little or no impact whatsoever on adjacent residential streets or local streets. And the fact that the property's been vacant for so long and has not been developed, and notwithstanding the zoning for decades, I think all points to the fact that what's proposed here, which is a modestly scaled grouping of buildings, none of which is that large that in and of itself is going to have a big impact, is really the perfect use for this site at this time, given all the conditions that everyone has described to the board. So I think we've met both the positive and negative criteria of the statute, and we would ask the board to grant a use variance.
Thank you. Larry, do you want to
Yeah,
say something?
just to summarize, they're seeking, it's a bifurcated application, so they're seeking tonight to get a use variance to utilize this site for the flex space and for the warehouse. If the board acts favorably on that, then they'll have to come back for a site plan approval.
Right.
You know, and really, I think as Mr. Carley indicated, you know, this is really a cartoon. You know, when they come back for the site, I love that, by the way. But when they come back for the site plan, you know, they'll come back with a fully engineered plan addressing all the issues, lighting, landscaping, traffic. Obviously, they're going to have to go to DOT because it's on state highway. And yes, I mean, obviously, this is just the first hurdle.
Of course.
They have to overcome, so.
I do hope that the applicant, if we do approve it, just takes our thoughts into consideration while you do that.
Of course.
So, we heard everybody. I don't know if anybody has any questions, any part of discussion, or would like to make a motion to approve or to deny the application.
Make a motion to approve the application.
Thank you, Joe. If I can get a second, please. We have a motion to approve. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes.
Mr. Scaturo?
Yes.
Ms. Millet?
Yes.
Mr. Bacladata?
Yes.
Ms. Musley?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
I do not believe this project conforms with the intent of the master plan. I will vote no.
Mr. Heyman?
I do vote yes. I think it is in a good location. It's surrounded by I-2. It's next to Route 1. I do agree it's in an isolated setting away from any homes. The size of the property allows the applicant to construct not huge warehouses, but compared to larger areas, location and complexes that are a little bit smaller to what is needed. Again, I just had some concerns, small though, about Crayville Park and maybe just separating the areas near Chamberlain. I would ask that you maybe consider after talking to DOT about that left-hand turn. But besides that, I do vote yes. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the board's consideration.
Thank you. All right, so can I get a motion to close, please?
I'll make a motion to close.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
1 second, just for
Yes.
the record, the C variance for the parking in the
Yes,
front yard.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, we just,
Yes. So, let me just go back. The motion was made by Mr. Scaturo.
Was that
Seconded by
including the
Mr.
parking?
That was also to include the bulk variance relief for parking in the front yard.
Yes.
Okay. And I'll ask anybody here if that was all part of your deliberation as well when you voted. Does everyone agree with that?
Yes, for me it was,
Not agree
yes.
with that? Okay, so.
all right,
so
thank
this-
you.
Thank you very much. So I need a second for close? Thank you, Joe. All right, have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.